Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is your local problematic Leo at it again with a slightly, potentially controversial color CL contact lens review. Now, I did want to point this out before we jump too far in. I'm going to be covering their new Identity series, which does feature a slightly larger pupil hole. And I've seen it in the comments. Everybody wants as tight a hole as possible, but you know what? There are definitely some pluses and minuses when it comes to that, and we're going to go ahead and cover that in our construction section. But before we jump into any of that, we do have channel tradition that we need to carry on, so I can show you my naked round eyes while I read you some stats. Alrighty, so the diameter is 14.2 millimeters, the base curve is 8.6 millimeters, and the pupil hole is 5 millimeters. Now, shockingly, on the positive end of the spectrum, I did get around to recording this video a little bit early, which means that you should be seeing this go live right about launch, and they are expected to drop about April 24th from what I hear. However, on the negative end of the spectrum, because I did get to this a little bit earlier, I don't necessarily have all of the information available to me. So pricing, don't know about that. However, Color CL's lenses do run about $20 to $22, and usually at launch they do have a bit of a sale, so keep an eye out for that. And I'm gonna assume that these are 6-month lenses because they never do like weekly lenses as a single. That's just kind of not their thing. However, if you are at all curious, I will leave all of the information down in the description box below. And just keep in mind that if you do want an additional 10% off of your order, you should use code ROB10. And if you really like all of the information that I give you guys here, make sure to bookmark the affiliate link down below. And wow, I butchered that one, but we're keeping it in because I butchered so many other takes. Let's go ahead and get to the construction. All right, so cat's out of the bag. The Identity series does have a larger pupil hole. Now, I've seen a lot of back and forth on this online. There are a lot of people who really want tight pupil holes to get like some overall coverage so they can really get that like eye color change effect. However, there are some people out there that really don't necessarily like the tight pupil holes because they get blurriness, and that's actually the feedback that Color CL has been getting a lot, that some of their holes are just a little too tight. Now, me personally, I actually use the two different types of lenses to do different things. Like I was saying earlier, a tight pupil hole actually gives great like color change of the eyes. It's very, very dramatic. However, if you've been around long enough, you've known that I've covered some things that I call like framing lenses, and maybe that's a different way to kind of frame the conversation. These ones will actually frame your pupils and give you, not pupils, irises, and it'll actually give you kind of this heterochromia effect. And let me tell you, these Identity series ones do them really like, I can't wait till you see them. So they have a really, really great pattern which mimics the natural texture of an iris. Not as great as the Bliss series does, but I still really like the patterning on this. But the very interesting thing about these ones is they actually blend two different colors. Several of the pairs kind of do this monochromatic thing where it's just slightly different tones, where they have a warmer tone on one side and a cooler tone on the other side. But oh my god, can I just tell you, there are some that have like slightly green tones and then slightly brown tones and then slightly blue tones and then slightly beige tones. It's really, really freaking cool. So for me, that blend and the way that it kind of frames your eyes really kind of like leans into that heterochromia effect that I really enjoy. And I think at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily someone who hates my own natural eye color. So when I see lenses like this, I think about it as more like a different type of clothing to wear. You know, some days you want to be in like, you know, big baggy sweatshirt and like some shorts. Some days you want to dress up a little bit. So for me, this is kind of like a nice little bit of variety to add into my collection. So let's just get into it. Okay, so I usually don't like giving up one of my favorites so early on, but Cloudwalking is one of the best examples of the Identity series. So you're gonna have to hear me out because it's gonna sound a little bit crazy. It is kind of like a light wash denim on one side, and then the other side is like this weedy amber. And when I first looked at it in the blister, I was like, what is this hot mess? But the second that I put it into my eyes, I was like, oh my god, I get it. We're totally riding the heterochromia train, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Now, the close-ups do make it look a little stark, but I'll be honest with you, when you get into like conversational distance and you don't have such intense like direct light in your eyes, they do look a little bit more natural, and I've been wearing this all week. Well, I've been wearing this part of the week. I've been wearing another one of my favorites the other part of the week. Let me tell you right now, I've definitely fallen in love with this new Identity series. So I can't wait till you see the rest of them. But the interesting thing that I find about these is that you can actually rotate the color because of the fact that, you know, it's kind of like on one side or the other. So you can rotate it so that like one side is maybe starkly different from the other side. Me, I like to rotate it so that the lighter color is a little bit on top. So it looks like it's catching the light a little bit different than the bottom. Let me tell you, the construction on these is just so interesting and so fun to play with. Moving along, we have Morning Dew. Now, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, when I first saw this, I thought it was going to be in the running for one of my favorite lenses of this release. However, because of the fact that I have different criteria for framing lenses, I just did not quite connect. However, they are still very beautiful. On one side, they've got this kind of like gray blue tone, and then on the other side, they've got this minty green gray, and let me tell you, I've been super duper into like the minty green grays. I think that they're actually super duper beautiful. However, because of the fact that they don't kind of like blend so naturally in with my eyes, the framingness kind of loses its weird, you know, heterochromia thing. It's just like too many tones playing in the same pool. But if you do have, I guess, maybe hazily eyes or like maybe even blue eyes, you can even try these out to kind of like add some extra dimension. I think the colors are beautiful, but not necessarily on this pattern for me. So continuing on with the blue trend, let's go ahead and talk about April Sky. Now, I have no business liking these lenses as much as I do, but oh my god, there is something about them. And again, I think it might have to do with the fact that they are framing style lenses. Now, they do have that kind of typical denim blue on one side, but on the other end, they like bring this navy blue dark denim flavor, and I'm thinking that because of the fact that that color is so deep, it kind of melds in with the deepness of my own eyes, and it kind of gives that blue pop to really kind of like add in the heterochromia, but allows the navy blue to kind of like blend it in really nicely. I don't know, it's strange. Maybe you guys could tell me if you enjoyed them on me or not, but it's one of those ones that I feel is kind of like a guilty pleasure, like, I kind of really enjoy these ones, but maybe they don't look the greatest on me. I think that they look good on me. I don't know. You guys let me know down in the comments below. Moving on to some safer, less confusing territory, we do have Daybreak. Now, this one has a gorgeous combination of hazels. On one side, it's kind of like this mocha-y, yellowy hazel tone, and then on the other side, it's kind of more of an olive hazel shade. It's absolutely gorgeous, but I do have to say, because of the fact that these are natural tones, because of the fact that I have such dark brownish reddish eyes, they may shift a little bit differently if you are a little bit lighter in tone or maybe have a little bit of a yellower base. Actually, I feel like if you have like browny golden eyes, these might even look better on you. For me, they kind of brighten up my eyes and give them a little bit of a sparkle, which I really definitely appreciate. However, there's a part of me that loves the weird heterochromia that goes on with the rest of the series. So while I do like these ones and I see the practical use in them, I might opt for something a little bit weirder. Okay, so what Daybreak did for hazel tones, Bright Eyes is doing for amber tones, and let me tell you, these are absolutely gorgeous if you have like dark brownish reddish eyes like I do. They've got a little bit of more gold and amber on one side, but that beautiful warm amber on the very bottom is bright enough to still pop and add a little bit of light into my own eyes without it looking way too artificial. That's the one thing that I love about these kind of like framing lenses with the larger pupil holes. I know people don't usually like them, but sometimes if you just want to add a little bit of a natural oomph to your eyes without putting on anything that's going to cause any blurriness, but it's still going to look natural, ooh, these are definitely up my alley. So if you're looking for something a little bit more natural, but still has enough pop in them, definitely check out Bright Eyes, because they make my eyes brighter. Oh, I don't like that. We're keeping it in. And finishing things off, we have my favorite of the bunch, which is Spring Meadow. Now, interestingly enough, this is actually a combination of something a little bit more on the natural side with a color splash, which I feel like is the identity of the Identity series. Now, this combines this like kind of like hazily brown, which, you know, not too crazy, blends in nicely with my eyes, with a splash of this kind of like washed out sage green. Now, it does that mind-fucky trick that I really like, because in some lights, it looks like that kind of like sagey green. In other lights, if you get more light in there, depending on the shift of that, it can be a little hazily green. Not too hazily green. It's still pretty green. It's not like, you know, that borderline is it green, is it hazel. It's like, it's green, but it's kind of hazel. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if it's cooler light that's kind of more direct, it kind of turns a little gray green, like that washed out, oh, sea foamy kind of green. I really, really like these lenses, if you couldn't tell, because of the fact that they are a little bit more on the interesting side. And let's say you have a big contact lens collection, you don't necessarily want something that's gonna look like, you know, a bunch of other things that you already have. And in the Identity series, the Spring Meadow one is just natural enough for me to wear on like an everyday basis, but has just something a little different about it. You know what I mean? It's just like that favorite piece of clothing that you like slip into, where it's kind of like, I could wear this every day, but it's got a little bit more interest than the regular. So this one I am definitely signing off on. This is one of my favorites of the bunch. And interestingly enough, this is one of those weird shades I feel comfortable in. Like with the April Sky one, I was like questioning. I was like, do I like this? Does it matter if other people like me in this? It's kind of strange. It's kind of different. This one I'm like, nope. I love these ones. I feel so good in them. And it's nice to have lenses that you feel absolutely fresh as a daisy in. Get it? Spring Meadow metaphor? Alrighty, and that about does it for my review of the Color CL Identity series. Let me know how you feel about larger pupil holes down in the comments below. Now, me personally, it all comes down to pattern and blendability. I really like the eye framing effect, but I understand that not everybody else does. If I'm going to put out any recommendations for these ones, of course, Spring Meadow is going to be my top. Then of course I have Cloudwalking. That one is absolutely gorgeous too. And there is something about that April Sky that just really gets me all confused inside. Like, I like this. Do I like this? Do I not like this? It blends. It's like, oh. Anyway, just picture that on like light blue eyes, or picture that on like blue greeny eyes. I'm literally watching myself spit on the camera because I'm so like twisty on the inside about April Sky. But that is one that I think I'm gonna take for a little bit more of a test drive in upcoming weeks. But those ones are definitely the ones that I'm gonna be putting into my own eyeballs. Let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below. Don't forget to use code ROB10 to get 10% off of your order, and feel free to bookmark my affiliate link if you enjoy watching this stuff. And that about does it for me for now. Wow, I lost my voice. But as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.